we about to chop up some wood. And right now, let's talk about this story that I think there are a lot of life lessons we can learn from someone else's despair. Unfortunately, former Raiders first round pick, y'all remember him, wide receiver Henry Ruggs III, pled guilty in the fatal DUI case. Let's get the facts out there. So the former Raiders receiver unconditionally waived his right to a preliminary hearing on Tuesday and will plead guilty to one count of DUI resulting in death and one count of misdemeanor vehicular manslaughter. According to the plea agreement, Ruggs will serve 3 to 10 years in Nevada State Prison. Charges dropped as part of the plea were 1 count of DUI causing substantial harm regarding his passenger and 2 counts of reckless driving. Now, if he would have played this all the way through, tried to go to trial, pled not guilty, if convicted, Ruggs faced a minimum of 2 years up to 50 years in prison. So obviously he couldn't take that gamble. And speaking of that gamble, with a 3 to 10 year sentence, even if he gets out early for good behavior, the short end of that sentence, will his football career be over? And will another team roll the dice and take that gamble of Ruggs coming out of prison? Sad story all around. Obviously, for the victim, lost their life as well, and we start there. But also for Henry Ruggs and his entire family, anyone connected to him, because he's not the only one that's going to go up for 3 years up to 10 years. That affects all in his surroundings. So the craziest thing about all of this is it could have been prevented. And that's where I think we should have this conversation. You talk about Henry Ruggs in the moment before this fatal accident. And it takes me back to a couple scenarios that I was prepared for. And the California Highway Patrol was one of them that prepared me. And another one was the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. Let's talk about it. They talk about, and they used to come to our teams and hold these panels and just try to educate us because, look, you got a bunch of guys, 50-some young guys in their 20s and 30s, right? And you know they have access, they got money, they like to party, they like to play hard and party harder, right? So we had the LA Sheriff come in one time, and of all the things they said, the one thing that stuck out was the fact that he was like, I want everybody to run this scenario through your head. Basically the Uber scenario. You're about to go out tonight. You know you're going out tonight. Where you going? Doesn't matter. You're leaving your home, okay? So let's not get caught up in what I'm going to do, because a lot of times people start running through what their night looks like and then try to associate how many drinks I'm going to have there. Oh, I'm just going to my auntie's house. I'm not going to drink over there. Oh, then I'm supposed to go to dinner with the executives, so I'm not going to drink there, or maybe 1 or 2. Then I'm going to go hang with my boys, and then I'm going to go drink. Point being, don't make those associations. You're leaving your house. Here's the simple question to ask yourself. Are you going to have a drink? That's what the LA Sheriff said to us as he was looking us in the eyes. Are you going to have a drink? And then if the answer is yes, call the Uber now. Simple as that. That's the most foolproof way for you not to get caught up in a situation like Henry Ruggs did. Okay, now the California Highway Patrol took that and took it a step further. So they say the same things. If you're leaving your house, you know you got to get an Uber. Duh, duh, duh. But then they took it a step further and said, I want everyone to put on this set of glasses, right? And they passed these glasses around to our entire football team. So you can hear guy after guy, you're waiting your turn, like, man, pass the damn glasses. And everybody put them on, like, oh, okay. All right, whatever. Like, you're not knowing what to do with this just yet. Passing them around, they're just sitting there watching us. And then when we're done, he's like, okay, what we just passed around were intoxication glasses. Basically, if you've ever had that level of vision, raise your hand. Everybody's hand went up. Like, who hasn't been intoxicated to this level? And he says, oh, that is legally drunk. And legally drunk in California is 0.08. He said, and it's easier to be over the limit than you guys think. So you guys are all big, 200, 300 pounders in here, 400 pounder. And everybody's like looking around like, that's drunk? That's getting me pulled over and put in handcuffs and taken to jail? And we were like, oh, and it was a sobering moment, pun intended. Because literally, I have been behind the wheel before like, You can still see the sign. Oh yeah, I can still see this, all that. And he was like, it's not as difficult as you think. And sometimes when you hear these cases and you hear these reports, guys be 2, 3 times over the limit. You be like, damn, how much did they drink? It turns out sometimes 4 drinks, 6 drinks over the course of a night, and including dinner, right? Now, obviously, the smaller you are and the slower your metabolism, etc., and the more you drink, obviously it affects you differently. But a lot of times, it's this willful ignorance. Like, you just don't even want to think about what your night's going to look like. And then on top of that, you don't know how it's affecting you. And in this situation, not just you, but someone was killed because you were being reckless. So this is an interesting case where obviously we saw a life loss and we saw someone who could have prevented this. But when you get caught up in that zone, you live in that life, or you're living too fast and you just don't stop and think, situations like this can happen. Crazy as it is, it's such a disappointment and a waste of potential and the cost of a human life.